Hello, BookTube, and welcome to Last Week in BookTube. For those of you who are new to the channel, this is a regular feature in which I look back at the last week or so of videos on BookTube and mention a few of the highlights, stuff that I really wanted to make sure you all watched, or at least knew about. It's a thing I do regularly, but it's not meant at all to be comprehensive or exclusive. There's a lot of stuff that I won't mention that I did watch and like. And there's probably a lot of stuff that I would have liked but don't know about. So this is just a keyhole view, so to speak, of my BookTube viewing last week. And I wanted to start off with something that when the most powerful corrupt politicians in the country, of the United States, here where I live, is spent the entire week vigorously fighting as hard as they possibly could to strip health insurance from 24 million people. It naturally was a week in which we all needed some comfort readings and books for MKs, missionary kids. On her channel, she did a video called 5 Comfort Reads You Will Love, which was really good. And in case that wasn't enough, there's always a video that actually was itself a comfort read, and that's Caleb at his channel reading poetry in that accent of his, in that rocking chair of his. I swear, if you don't feel your blood pressure drop a few points at the end of that video, I don't think your blood pressure has much hope of surviving. Michael, Bitten by Radioactive Book, returned and started making videos again. Really hope that he continues doing that. And a new channel to me, a new BookTube channel that I found through Ben Sanders' series on introducing newbie booktubers, just arrived last night. Did a video on how to annotate books. I thought was pretty thought-provoking. And then in the realm of book reviews, I have 4 that I want to recommend to you. There was Thoughts in Tomes, did a review of Steve Hall's The Raw Shark texts. That was really good. All 4 of these were really good. Thoughts on Tomes, not to be confused with Thoughts in Books, did one on N.K. Jemisin's The Fifth Season, or the fantasy doorstop that is a BookTube darling. Francina Simone did a review of The Empress of a Thousand Skies by Rhoda Beleza, if that's how you say her last name. Are you sure how you say her last name? And Conrad at 7 Days at Sea. Some of you might remember him from his previous channel. He has returned, and he did a really good review of The Jungle by Upton Sinclair. So there you have it. My 4 favorite book reviews of the week, 4 books that I detested. Just goes to show book reviews at least as much about the performance as it is about the book under review. And then there was some more general things that I wanted to mention that we'll wrap up so that this one isn't quite as hideously long as the last one was. The first one was Chris Rhodes at the Rhodes vlog, who was all excited to do an on-air interview with Ada Palmer, the author of Too Like the Lightning, the science fiction author. And it didn't go well. not the interview. It's not like she got on and cussed or anything. No, it's that the interview went fine, but the audio didn't take. The audio didn't record. So the interview was worthless. And in classic vlogger fashion, Chris turned on the camera and just showed you the raw face of flat, concrete disappointment, despair over all that work and anticipation that didn't work because of a technical glitch. And I don't know how many of us here watching BookTube have ever actually had the job of doing that, of interviewing people. But I am sure that if anybody other than me was watching who fits that description, they all wanted to do the same thing, which was reach right through the screen and pat Chris on the shoulder and say, these things happen to us all, because they do. I have a couple of stories about interviewing people would stand thy several hairs on end like quills upon the fretful porpentine. I'll have to make a whole video about it sometime. But I wanted to take this moment, in case Chris is watching, to reassure him these things happen. They're not the end of the world. They just seem it in the moment, but they happen. Let's see here. Burnt Books, another channel that's new to me that I highly recommend to you, did a rereading of Curtis Sittenfeld's Eligible, which was a great breath of fresh air to me. I think Curtis Sittenfeld is a genuinely important author, and someone that anybody that revisits her books has 2 thumbs up from me. Jennifer at Insert Literary Pun here did a really good video on reading classics that I thought made a lot of really good points. As usual on BookTube, my first reaction when I saw the title of the video was, "Yay, my favorite kind of book!" But of course, she doesn't mean the classics of ancient Greece and Rome. She means, the Victorians and maybe not much earlier. You learn to live with that when you're a big ancient Rome fan. And then there were a trio of more serious pieces that I strongly urge you all to go and see and think and leave comments and get engaged. And the first one was naturally, when I start to say deeper, more thought-provoking, go and leave comments, get engaged, of course the name Jen Campbell was coming up, and it's true. She's so darn reliable in terms of being smart. And she did a really, really good video on the stereotypical fictional portrayal of villains and the links to physical deformity. And it was the way you know that a video like that is really thought-provoking is when you're done watching the video and more examples come to mind than the ones she mentioned. So it's well worth your time to watch, if only because it will make you start to take a step back and check some of the assumptions that you have made in reading fictions, and maybe how it would feel if you read those stories from a slightly more personal involvement with the deformities involved. It was really, really good. And last week in BookTube, I mentioned that BookTube was had rolled out and beefed up a policy to strengthen censoring gay content in videos. And Francina Simone did a video. I'll mention her twice here. She did a video on censorship that you really have to see it. It's classic Francina Simone. And it responds to a lot of the issues involved in ways that you just when you see a controversy like that crop up, you're just waiting for her to make a video. It's really nice. And Katytastic. We'll wrap up with this. Katytastic, a super popular booktuber, 200,000 subscribers or more, made a long and heartfelt video. It was in the framework of a tag, but it was really more of just an open-hearted, confessional video about why she has stopped making BookTube videos, or why it's been so long since she made a BookTube video. Talked about some parts of her own mental health, but also of the state of BookTube and whether or not it pleases her and whether or not it's the sort of thing that she wants to do anymore. And Indie Insomniac made a long and very thoughtful, very passionate response video to that Katytastic video. I'll link everything down below. And I thought they were both really, really interesting. And I urge you all to go and look at both of them again and just see what you think. And if you're wondering what I thought about Katytastic's video, well, what you should do for just time-saving ease is watch Indie Insomniac's video and then assume that I think the exact opposite of every point that he brings up. And you'll just about have it. And that was last week in BookTube, a somewhat shorter version, just because you shouldn't see me in your feed and expect a 35-minute video. Nobody wants that. And I'd love to know, as usual, in the comments field, what if you saw anything that absolutely deserves my attention, that absolutely warrants being seen. I'd love to hear about things that I missed. And I have just a parting question for this last week in BookTube, since I want to continue doing it. There's something I'd like to add to it. I've been thinking about it, and I want to know if you'd be interested at all. And that is at the end of every last week in BookTube for me to add a recommendation that isn't BookTube. Something that I saw on YouTube that I really think you should see that isn't BookTube. I'd be happy to do that if you want. And otherwise, I'll just stick to BookTube, because Lord knows there's plenty to talk about. So I'll leave all the links below, and I'll see you soon, BookTube. Thank you.